is there anything in the pipeline coming up in regards to like shows, telly and stuff like that in the future? Or they're not said because of Corona or what?
There is, mate. I was meant to go and film a show last year, the back end of last year in South Africa.
Mm-hmm.
So it was reality TV, but it was like a little bit more. I think people would actually get to know me for me on that sort of show. Whereas, like I was saying, going back to Geordie Shore, it was a lot more edited. I think I was due to go and fly up there, Carl, last October, November, but obviously with the lockdown and that, didn't happen. Still in the pipeline, so I'm looking forward to that. But again, mate, it's just what's going on in the world at the minute. It's delayed everything, mate. You know what I mean? Like I was saying, you're lucky because you can still get in the gym with you being a pro. The gyms are still open, so you can still train. You're getting a fight in and that. Whereas TV work-wise for me, it's just totally took a back step like the last year and a half, maybe with the lockdown and that. But what do? You know what I mean?
It's one of them things. Whereabouts in South Africa were they going to post you then? Was there a situation there?
I think it was Johannesburg, mate. I bet they were Johannesburg.
The first time I thought there was Joburg. It was fucking Sin City, man. It's crazy. That's where my friend who I mentioned earlier, Al Bishop, that's where he's from.
I was a bit worried about the carjackings and that.
It's fucking wild, man. It's the Wild West out there, mate. It's crazy. It's a mad divide, but at the same time, it's one of the coolest places I've ever been. I mean, me and Al, I can't remember if it was after me fight or if it was just before, but me and Al went into a place in the middle of, I think it was the first time I was there in Joburg under the bridge, and that was like next to I think it was like classed as downtown, and it was it was cool, you know, it was like my kind of vibe, you know, it was like a bit like,
did you go out and have a night out not there?
No, not so much. Like, nah, not really. I mean, I got some.
You were there,
I got some edibles and I got some fucking smoke though. I managed to get myself. I managed to get there. I got some fucking weed and I got some.
Someone on the street, Charlie, 20 euro, what did he use?
Nah. It was Pierre and his girlfriend actually. Some cool. A couple of people who I met out there, and like I think I maybe met them the first time I fought in Cape Town, and then made friends with them, and then kept in touch with them.
Seem pretty cool people.
Oh man, they're some of the coolest people I've ever met in my life.
The guy that's been doing me, mate, a guy called Ricardo, mate. Honestly, he's proper sound like and that. Just like I say, he makes feel comfortable on focus. Obviously, at first you're like, some gadgets ring me in South Africa, telling me to go and film him, and
I'll just send you my bank details.
South Africa.
You just need to details for the fucking payment.
Just whacking a grand there, mate, and obviously the rest is history.
So I say,
but
it's cool, like it is.
It's a bit more like sort of like the show will tap into a little bit more like business side of things as well. So like brand work, obviously I want to be doing a bit of fitness out there. Look at me, picture of health.
Well, the first time we went out there, man, we were fucking, they were telling us not to go out after dark and everything, and I was fucking mooching up the street. And that made where the street was, there was like loads of cool stalls and shit. I've still got some of the ornaments in the house now, man.
Did you enjoy it over there?
Mate, I loved it, man. I cannot wait to come back. Chris Bright, I'll hold him already. He's my mate. He's a coach out there. It's actually Lutando Biggo's coach who I fought. I met him the first time I went out there, and we've been really close ever since. He's a really cool guy, and he said he'll get us out there to do some seminars and coach at his gym a bit, so to help with the flights and stuff. So I was like, fucking get out there, you know, because honestly, man, it's one of the coolest places.
That's the thing, opportunities, mate. It's like I think people like whoever think, oh well, the market's only in the UK, but there's so much other market in other places in the world, like you say, South Africa and that. So get out there,
man. That's exactly it, man. Like obviously,
anywhere. Doesn't just have to say it's here.
That's a fucking dream for me, man. I put a photo on my Instagram the other day saying like how wild it was, and it was like being in a dream. But honestly, man, like people didn't understand the level out there to when you get out there. It's honestly, I remember when I first fought there,
a bit like obviously now with South Africa, because that made, like I say, it looks a beautiful country and that.
Oh, for sure, man. It's man, we were out there with Yannick Bahati, man, right? The first time I was out there, Yannick slapped Drickus at the weigh-in. It was fucking hell on, and Yannick was getting death threats sent to him and everything, man. While we were there, we had two of these fucking massive security guards following us everywhere we went. Me and Yannick were the only two English lads fighting in the card, man. You know, Yannick's from Birmingham. Jan's sound as fuck, man. He's a fucking good kid. No, one of the people I met when we were first out there. We fought on, we both lost, funnily enough, mate. I fucking got robbed. I fought that Gareth Bursky. Same guy, obviously I'm cool. I wish I've got no animosity towards him.
I was saying I respect all the fights,
sure,
man.
But I won that fight, mate. That was me. I was 4-0, 5-0 at the time, and I went out there, and it was it was the first. I did it at a catch weight, and I signed at bantamweight. I'd never fought at bantamweight before. I fought him at a catch weight, and then my next fights after that were bantamweight. But that first one there, we went out there, and it was madman, you know. Like obviously, it was at altitude. A lot of people didn't realize that was like 6,000 foot above sea level, and obviously, give or take whatever it is, the fucking difference. I'm not a mathematician. I'm probably but it's about that. I remember. You know what I mean? I'm the environmentalist. It probably is. I don't know. But now the first time I went out there was at altitude, but obviously I was cutting weight, you know, so I couldn't really push myself and train, because back then, this is dark ages shit. This is when I used to carb deplete and I used to fucking kill myself. I used to starve me whole camp, and then the last week I would do 3 eggs and spinach, you know what I mean? And I would get to the end of the week, man, I couldn't even walk the stairs for the fucking pain was that bad, man. You know? Honestly, and this was at fucking fighting, and this was fighting at altitude. I went out there and I fought that Gareth Bursky, and he was a little mover, but I beat him, you know, and I dropped him. I punched him first punch of the third round. I hit him with a fucking cracking right hand.
Do you feel when you catch him with a good?
No, it's the opposite. I feel personally, anytime I've ever hurt anyone with a shot, it's felt like I've not really hit them. Whereas the times I've fucking called people heavy and I've been, that's a good like shot, and I've looked and they've just took it. Whereas honestly, that shot there, I snapped the right hand, he kept circling loads, and he was short, and he was a little stocky wrestling guy. And he was quite hard to get a read on because of how unorthodox he was, you know. But fortunately, I fought Declan Williams not long before that, and he moved loads too, and he was hard work. So I kind of already had a bit of experience with someone like that. So when I fought him, I was just kind of walking him down. I was just staying tight because everyone's got that chip shot right hand. I was just staying tight, walking him down. Stupid little shots and stuff, because I was expecting him to die for my legs. That's what Dean would tell me.
Was he a wrestler?
So I thought, until after I've watched some of his fights, he's knocked some kids out and stuff like that. But I thought he was primarily a wrestler, you know. So that's what I was planning for. So
that's the thing about the fight.
Walking him down. And fucking... that third round, I hit him with a right hand, and I knew I'd clocked him. I timed it lovely. It was just a snappy bang, right hand, you know, quick down the pipe. And I seen it hit him. I knew I'd hit him. I felt it, but it wasn't like a shot where it was like thin air. Boom, and I seen him hit the deck, but I was that exhausted. I've watched it back and you can't even really tell. But honestly, that fight, it was like fighting underwater with a weight on us. I was off the altitude. I was fucking exhausted. I went for an armbar in the second round. I had his arm locked up, right? And I got a lovely angle on it. And normally in the gym or whatever, I would just 100% just gun and try and finish it, you know, a lovely bite on it. And in my head, I was like, I'm that tired. If I feel this armbar, I'm gonna obviously get fucking pushed over, and he's gonna be in a mid position to smash us, because that's how fucked I felt like I was. Watching the back, I can't even tell. So I bailed it, and then I ended up getting on top and working from there. And then in the third round, as I say, then I dropped him, and I remember ending the fight on top of him, and I was landing short elbows and stuff like that. And I got up and I went, min fight mate, fucking amazing, you know what I mean? And I would just see it was fucking heartbroken, mate. And I was on cloud nine, you know what I mean? I'm like, fucking, I'm fighting internationally. I've just fucking won a good fight against a local legend. To love him out there, you know what I mean? I was like, fucking mint, you know what I mean?
Like, I imagine that feeling was just like,
you know, as soon as they said a split decision, mate, even though I know unanimous, I would have, you know what I mean? I was clear the fucking winner. When they said split decision, straight away, I was like, they're going to bump us in. You can see it in my body language and the thing I'm looking about, and I'm like, no way, I've got me on. I'm like, there's no way, because I was fucking looking. You know, even his coaches did it, guys, run the all same guys, but even his coaches, you know what I mean? The way they went up was the same thing as earlier, man. It was like, I've won the fight, you know, and after I was like, fuck this, like obviously gutted. And then at the press conference, which is on YouTube, it was like, oh, Carl. It was, oh, sorry, how do you feel about their loss and stuff like that? And I was just like happy to be there. I was like, hey man, that fucking just fought on the other side of the world, like win or lose, I'm fucking loving life, you know what I mean?
Did you feel like a winner regardless?
I felt like a winner regardless, and I fucking hit a whole new audience, and especially because how the fight went, loads of people just straight away were like, that's fucking horrible that that's happening here, you know, I was South African, this and that, we should be thinking international fight as well. Loads of people, it worked for us in the opposite way, so I got loads of traction off it, and then got good sponsors and stuff. I got a legal. I got this guy's STG Industries, right? They sponsored us, mate. They then started making us custom fight shorts any way I wanted, mate. All my banners, everything, mate. I got fucking raw catering on to do me food, mate. I pushed us in. I got loads of people on board on the other side of the world, and that to me, I was like, well, hell, who else has got loads of the fucking South African locals, haven't they? I mean, obviously some of them had, but loads of them are not sponsored by STG, and they were giving us like custom tighties, fucking t-shirts. I've given something to fucking Dave. I've given loads of, you know, like I've made this sort of thing.
And it went that way. From that fight.
For sure. Like, so then after that, then obviously I come home and I thought I was supposed to fight.
Was there a long like gap in between that fight and
because I come home and what happened was I was supposed to be on a Bellator Bama split card against Steve Aimable, who's fighting Cage Perry fought him not too long ago, and that fight fell through. And then what happened was I got told it was rematch.
What weight were you going to fight?
Featherweight. I was going to fight him at, and what happened was it was a tough fight as well. He's a good kid. He's from a good gym and he's strong and he's a dangerous kid.
It's not like you're going to every fight that you're going into. You know,
oh, it's going to be a tough fight, but that's what we wanted. You know, Steve's a good kid. He's on a fucking stint at the minute. He's on a losing stint. But honestly, any fight he's in, it's a super close fight. So it's one of them things like whereas if an eye for sure. I mean, watch his fight with Mads Bennell, and in my honest opinion, I'm a huge Mads Bennell fan. He's a great fighter. That in my eyes is the best technical performance I've ever seen from a pro MMA fighter in my life. Because when I watched that fight, I was live. Obviously, I fucking took an edible before I went, and I had this fucking.
Did you?
Oh man, for sure, man! I fucking ate this. It was from America. This fucking tablet, right? This tablet, this edible. I ate it in the hotel. Went there on the train, got there, and I went. And I walked in. I remember it was a fucking mad thing, and I was stoned to bits, mate. And I was stood there in the crowd. There was like loads of things at the venue. It was like a weird thing, and I was like. I was blitzed, you know what I mean? Someone was talking to us and I was in a world of my own. Now, look, and I realized he'd been talking to us for ages. I was like, fucking hell, like, mate, I'm so sorry. I'm not an ignorant person. And I can't help me wait to be as polite to anyone as I can. But I was fucked. When it says, oh man, it's weird because the testosterone and the way everyone's walking around and every cunt's edgy and it's a fight show and it's like fucking, whoa, this is fucking pretty bad. I like just being mellow, keep myself to myself. I'm a weirdo in social fucking situations anyway. I only like to be around people I trust. I've always been like dead anxious. I'm not dead determined and shit like that. I struggle in that environment. I always feel like people's being shifty cunts.
It's funny, mate, that didn't know from the outside in, but if you've been in an MMA fight and everything. People would think, oh, you get confident because I know you're as calm. Yeah. But then people that didn't know you would think, oh, I bet you fucking, but really you actually are quite like.
Oh, I'm reserved in that sense, mate. I kind of, it's a really.
Do you get anxiety sometimes?
Mate, I've always struggled with anxiety, but not the way other people do. It's more so like like so. Say for instance, like I can kind of
I feel like comfortable since more recent, obviously with.
I mean, didn't get us wrong. When I lost my mum, I kind of went into a bit of a shell a bit, and that kind of fucked us up a bit. Unfortunately, and this is. If you watch the fight back with James, this is kind of what I said to him after the fight. Obviously, I was heartbroken that I lost. You know, I invested so much into that fight and I really thought I was going to win. And it was just one of them things. But I said to James after, because from the first fight getting pulled to when we eventually fought, when we first fought, that was when my mom went in the coma. And that was obviously thingy. And then they pulled me from the fight. It was the fucking darkest time in my life. I fucking... Really, honestly, if it wasn't for my kids, I would have been in a fucking bad place. You know what I mean?
Really,
but that day kept us.
Let alone that happening and then having to go through like.
And then they're telling us what they're happening about me fucking brain scans and all that shit went on.
Because I remember when that was all happening, but I didn't know you quite as well as I know you now. But I think Scott was telling me about that at the time, and but I didn't know that. Obviously,
well, I'll tell you the situation about what happened is. I'm for you to use a favour and plug that charger in there just in case the laptop dies.
I didn't know that, mate. I didn't know that. Mate.
Well, so basically what happened was, right, was that fucking whole shit went on with the brain scans, right? Fucking nightmare situation.
I remember that, but I didn't know you then. That was about 3 years.
Yeah. No, it wasn't even then when all that shit went on with the brain scans. It was literally...
Was that when Scott was at his uncle gone?
So I'll tell you when it'll be. It'll be 2 years this October. That's how long it'll be that all that shit went on. And it all roots back to fucking fighting in South Africa, man.
Were you in a bad place, eh?
I was honestly, mate, I've always been good at dealing with fucking personal shit. Obviously, my whole life, my mum was fucking disabled. My mum had MS. And all the way through. Mate, there's a lot of people don't, you know what I mean? And the whole way through, most of me childhood, I was my mom's carer, you know what I mean?
Yes, mate.
Way I respect, mate. And it's like, obviously, fucking, like, all that going on my whole life, and then obviously that's why I kind of channeled everything into boxing.
Yeah,
I started boxing, and
so
it was like
sort of a ghetto, but
it was a relief. It was a relief for me, you know. Like obviously I was like, didn't get us wrong, mate. When I was in junior school, I was a fucking proper nerd. You know what I mean? I was the snotty nosed kid, you know, the thing, you know, just funny, you know, just stupid, and then got in with some people and just started just being a fucking idiot, you know what I mean? I remember I wasn't even in fucking comprehensive school, and I remember we were in fucking King George's Park in a stolen Cavalier, red Cavalier. Fucking could have been anybody's car, could have been a family, you know, like you didn't think when you're a kid, you know, I'm fucking nothing about these elder lads, thinking I'm the fucking dog's bollocks, thinking I'm the dog's bollocks, you know, and then the fucking someone's Cavalier gets fucking burnt out and that, and this is honestly,
and
man,
you're getting involved in that from a young age without like, realizing that you're vulnerable.
For sure, like when I speak to like some people and then they tell us about their childhoods, I'm like, fucking hell, that's like sheltered as fuck. Like we were honestly, man, we were fucking terrorists. I know it's like it doesn't seem it, but it was like
I've known you, like I seen you for a good few years now, and I never actually knew that about your mum, mate. So it's like it's actually nice to hear, and I didn't know that you were pretty much like a carer.
I was a carer, to be honest.
I think a lot of people that wouldn't know you, mate, probably because everyone sees MMA fighters as just MMA fighters. They don't see what like. But well,
it's another preconception about the whole thing about tattoos and stuff as well. Like people see me, and I think obviously like I look fucking wild, you know. I've got fucking facial tattoos and cauliflower ears and shit like that. And sometimes I dress fucking a bit eccentric in my own time, you know. I didn't give a fuck about that shit. I just enjoy it. And
well, this is the thing about prejudgment. Different people,
preconceptions. Like, that's it.
Mate. It's like regardless of what people see, actually. Take a step back and think, oh, he might look like that, but you know what it is? He might not be. Look at it in a positive light instead of just
a lot of the time
judging someone.
A lot of the time I've been judged me fucking whole life, mate, to be honest, mate.
So have I, 100%. Because I mean, especially now for you, I mean, to be honest with you, mate, I remember the first time I met you, obviously I knew that you were like a fighter and everything. And I'm thinking, hey, I hope he's not like putting on these outside. But I found with a lot of fighters that I've met over the years, mate, they're the complete opposite, right? They're the nicest people ever because what have they really got to prove? It's like people that fucking, like they say, they can't even fight or whatever, they get on like the hard, but I find
that's exactly why they do that. There's a lot of fighters who are not some of the hard.
Always respect the quiet man.
Some of the toughest fucking men I know you would never expect it. I mean, my good friend Jake Benelli, my good friend Jake Benelli is a happy-go-lucky guy. Honestly, he's fucking salt of the earth. He would do fucking anything for anyone. I've been mates with him since I was a young kid, you know, from back in the fucking Sunderland ABC boxing days, from day one, you know what I mean? And honest to God, he's one of the fucking most ferocious punchers I've ever seen in my life, and you would never expect it.
You would never because think it, would you? Never.
The thing I always come back to when people say, "Oh, you know, like I think I am," and I'm not neat. I'm not neat fucking tough guy. You know, I enjoy my sport and I do it for my own reasons, and I've got knee.
I mean, you didn't walk about, say for instance, you're going about in Sun, Newcastle or whatever, on a night out, you're not walking about as if to say, right, I'm Pacino, you're not, mate. It's like, when I met you, mate, you were just proper like, I don't know, mate, just down to earth, just like a lovely bloke, mate, you know what I mean? You find that with a lot of fighters, mate. What have them got to prove, mate? They're just normal, genuine, nice people, mate. You know what I mean? See, that's how I found it, mate.
That's for a lot of people.
How I found you.
I didn't think of myself because I fight as a profession as being.
No, you're the complete opposite.
I'm not asked about that shit at all. All I just want to do is I just want to get on with people and have some mad experiences. But same thing about like the likes of fucking Jake. You know, like I know for a fact if Jake hit anyone on the street, no matter who it was, with just a bare hand, he's got a good chance of knocking any single person on the planet. I truly believe, honestly, he's a fucking horribly heavy-handed kid. He boxed fucking on the Tony Bellew fucking hair card, and he was first fight on the card, and he fought a guy from Bellew's camp, Mark Glover, I think his name was, and I told everyone, Jake's fighting tonight, and I know Jake from fucking back in the fucking dark realms, mate. We were training in the dark ages, mate.
So you actually knew him.
I know what Jake's from, and we're from the same cloth, mate.
Do you want a bottle, mate?
Fill your boots, mate. We trained at the same gym back then when they were sweatsuit on you, on the heavy bag all night. Then you're sparring all night. Cliffy's forgetting about the time in the fucking ring because he's fucking off his head, whatever. Fucking man, he fucking bails, and fucking we'll be doing fucking rounds for ages, and it was honestly, man, it was crazy, man. I'm just a second, will you just pause that, mate, and just say restart later? Cheers, mate. So just wait till later. As I was saying, fucking we come from the same thing, you know what I mean? So basically, chuck us a light, boys. Young chuck us a light there. As I was saying, fucking we training back then when it was fucking sweatsuits on, killing ourselves, fucking, I remember like the first night I went to Charles, mate, you know, first night I was there, I didn't even have a gum shield, right? Honestly, you know, coming from being a fucking raggy kid, you know, that fucking 2-second straight fights with some fucking piss knacker or whatever, when you're a bear and you think of the dog's bollocks, as I was saying earlier. From me coming from that to just having daft altercations, stupid fights like that when you're a kid knocking about the street, to gone there. I went to the boxing gym and I went in and I sparred this kid called Billy, right? And it was my first night there, right? And I swear to God, right? He absolutely smashed me face in, right? 100% punched us all over the place. Absolutely jabbed me life off, right? And it was a fucking ego death, mate. It was literally such a shock to the system that this was thinking, smashing his fucking lighting us up, boom, boom, boom. 12-year-old, whatever I was. Big, long, ragey kid, blasting me head off. I'd never fucking, this was my first session. I remember going back into the changing room after, sitting there, being in pure shock and thinking like, I'm never going to come back here. I can't come back here. And I fucking went home. And
how did you feel after that? How did you feel
horrible, horrible. Honestly, mate, honestly, from what you think, right? So like all these local hard men, you know, who's never done that, who never have a fight. This is why they don't fight, mate. Because you get found out, you think you can fight. Yeah, it's like you didn't. It's like you've never played footy in your whole life, right? You didn't then get into a fucking thing. You're thinking, I'm a Premier League player. But in fighting, people who's never had a fight in their life, never trained, have this idea in their head of, I'm a tough fighter. You know, when you actually fucking do it, you actually find out about yourself, and that's why so many of these people never have actual fights. It's always, he's knocked some cunt out and he's been pissed or something like that. They never actually sign on the dotted line to have a fight for the world to see because they're too scared of that whole ego getting crushed. But that's what I had from a young age. I went there as a kid thinking I was a fucking Billy Big Bollocks, went in, got my head punched in, and it was a horrible shock to the system that I learned from. And I went home and honestly, and I was like, you know what? I forced myself to go on. Every single night we were sparring hard, every night, all the time as a kid going up. And that's where I'm seeing Jake's from, but you would never expect it. But that's what I was saying earlier, like a lion doesn't have to let anyone know it's a lion. You see a lion, you know it's a lion, and that's what I feel like a tough fighter. If someone's a tough guy, they've got the presence, you know what I mean? Jake doesn't have to show anyone he's a tough guy.
The best fighter,
you know, he's going to be able to fight. You can just sense it.
I always find the best fighters and the real fighters are the ones that aren't scared of the ego getting knocked and just.
But that's why you know why, mate? Because a real fighter, right, isn't afraid to have a loss. They're going to test themselves to see how good they actually are. You know what I mean?
But the thing is, as well, fighters like that. Exactly how I would say you test yourself, right? That's what I'm now, the sort of person you are. You're literally anyone, anywhere, I'll test myself, right? But that's because you're a real fighter. You haven't got any ego at all that's going on outside. You're a real fighter, mate. So, like you say, mate, you might get losses from taking them risks or whatever, but you know where you're at from them risks and from them losses, you know what I mean? And
for sure,
you keep working towards it as well. So
that's why I admire Fisher so much, you know. Obviously my coach Andrew Fisher, I remember, you know, when I first started.
You seem like you've got a lot of respect.
I always will have, mate, you know, forever, mate, because you know why, mate? Because he's put a lot of time into me.
I bet you're like totally different fighter than how you were when you first started. Man. And everything in life is a learning and a work and practice, mate.
I'm a fucking massive weirdo, right, mate? And I overthink everything a lot of the time. Not so much about people who I'm not bothered about, but people in me circle. That's what I overthink a lot of things, you know, and I obviously Fisher's been my coach for fucking since I was 18 years old, you know what I mean? It was his first MMA coach and he'll be my only MMA coach. I'll never do MMA anywhere else, you know what I mean? That's the way it is. I say, you know, when I first started, mate, right? I started with Fisher when we were in a back room of a cupboard, right? And our gym, honestly, mate, was in the cupboard. In the Olympian boxing gym, we had a cupboard that was matted out. And what were mad, a small group of people, this was Pharmacy Dave, fucking Lawson, fucking random, Ant Watson, fucking sound guy. He actually had all the potential in the world, and I wish he'd still train now. He worked at Nissan. You know, I think when he had his first fight, I think he really struggled with the nerves. And as I said before, mate, honestly, people that people perform on the night sometimes, and Ant did perform, by the way. He fought a great fight and won. And it was in this mad nightclub in Leeds, and it was crazy, man. But it was a fucking mint show. And this was when we were the first, like, we were fighting for Fisher. It was just starting out. We were a tiny little club, mate. It was mad. It was all new to us, you know what I mean? MMA was something that I watched on the telly with my dad that I didn't even know that existed anyway in my world. And then obviously when we started doing it, it was fucking wild. And I remember thinking, this is fucking insane and stop. But honestly, they were a small little crew. Small little crew, mate, and we just made it happen, you know, because we just the vibe we just kept chipping away, and then obviously we moved. And mate, a lot of people don't know this. Now looking at our gym, you know, we've got world champions at our gym. Phil the Fish, KSW. We've had Perry fought for a world title. I fought for a world title. Fucking Ryan was Bama world champion. This is a small fucking club in the northeast in Sunderland that made people outside of this didn't look into it as much. I think to me, it's such an achievement for where we come from, and people didn't talk about it enough. And I don't know about the rest of the lads, but I'm super proud of it. Like, even, you know,
I'm sure that all the lads will be.
For sure. It's a good thing that we've done, you know.
Especially
we've had mountains from molehills, essentially, you know what I mean? And it's fucking cool, and that's why, mate, that was one of the most motivational factors for me in fighting, right? So the reason I want to succeed so much, right, is because all I want to do, because I had it myself, not all the way through, the Northeast always got overlooked, mate. I beat kids. I beat some fucking world-class kids, right? Ryan Mulcahy from Liverpool, great kid. I beat him twice, straight on the England squad both times. Zishan Khan, I fucking spanked him in Hull at St. Paul's. It was at St. Paul's in Hull. It's old church. I beat him now. I was even boxing him southpaw, mate. I went out. He was
boxing?
And it was always, they always got picked. He got picked. I literally beat him, and then he's on the thing. Mike McCarthy, I beat him. He was a great guy from fucking Repton, really good kid. Beat everyone. That was my first senior fight. It was always that way. So what I wanted to, and what I still want to do in fighting is create pathways for younger kids coming up to get opportunities that not so many people but then get, you know, like, I want to be one of them people like kids can see, hopefully and see, you know what, fucking hell, that Cal's just fought main event on Channel 5, you know what I mean? He's from a he knocked him out Pennywell his whole life till he was a fucking man, you know what I mean? That's what I was saying.
But that's the beauty of what you're doing, mate. You're not just, like you say, obviously you're doing it for yourself and your family, mate. Like you say, mate, these achievements, what you want to achieve for yourself. But eventually, mate, it's great that you're thinking, well, if I can do this, these kids growing up in the Sunderland area can look at you and say, oh, well, Cal's paved the way. He's made it possible type thing, mate.
For sure.
And mate, I respect you for
that's obviously for my family, for myself, for my legacy, for my career. There's them reasons I want to do it as well. You know, I've had 41 fights now. I'd love to fight. If I could manage it, if it was a way that it wasn't day before weighing and stuff like that, if I would do it, I'd love to fight every week. If it was like, but the thing is with me, with weight and stuff like that, like it will be physically impossible, and the camp kills us and time away from the family kills us, and at the same time, routine and regular life kills us, mate. I've always struggled with it, and this is something that people didn't know about me. Like,
see, I'm the complete opposite. I need routine. You were saying you struggle with how, like you were saying, normal people whereas you, it just drives you insane. You like to just do things.
My thing was with me was, right, mate, when I was a kid, I would get up. If I wanted to go into school, I would go into school, and I would go into school and I'd take the piss all day, and I'd be in the unit, and we'd go out on trips, and we'd go outside and we'd smoking fags, and we'd just being fucking idiots, matting stained glass while everyone else is doing their shit. Me and Adam Robertson fucking hide behind the stairs till the day went out and climb into the fucking roof, and we're going all our way in the school. Stuff like that, we did mad shit, and that was school for me. I was kicked out of the school more than I was fucking in it, man. And I was a nightmare, mate. I was a fucking absolute nightmare, but not so much really to other people, essentially, but just a nightmare
for the teachers.
A nightmare for the teachers, because all I wanted to do was have a laugh. I was away from home, mate. I'm not thinking about everything what's going on at home. I'm there and I'm tapping the piss, you know what I mean? I'm going out and dinner times in the fucking thingy, something buckets in the park. Oh man, for sure, man. Just being an idiot, you know, like,
different, mate, because like obviously like I know you've sort of disciplined yourself, like sort of not later on, like, but like you're getting in. Like, how old were you when you started like your boxing now?
It was the end of year 8, going into year 9.
End of year 8. So like, not that it was like early, but it was kind of like
12, 13-year-old.
12, 13
like
year old.
that,
So when I was
June for my year. I'm June. My birthday's June.
Aye,
So
well,
however old that Max is, that's when I was first started boxing. When I was going into year.
Well, I was like you were saying when you were doing that in school, mate. There was like loads of people like smoking tabs, drinking on the weekend.
I was selling them.
Like you were
selling them at the school gates.
Yeah, I was never like that. Like it was mad for me because obviously me and my brother we used to play like a good level of football. So I was at Sunderland and Middlesbrough Academy when I was young, and so. My mum and dad, like looking back, my mum and dad were mint like they used to take us down to me and our late down to Middlesbrough like 5 nights a week, training every night, and then on the weekend. So the way the fixtures worked, so say for instance we were playing against Blackburn on that day, Middlesbrough. Our league was always an away game, and I was at home, so my dad would go and watch our league at an away game, and my mum would watch me at home. So we were constantly travelling, always training as well. So from like a young age, mate, I was really disciplined, mate.
Yeah, good.
Like I say, training hard and that, and then I think it's like looking now, mate. I think I like to still go to the gym. I still like to keep it. I like to think I love to fucking party, but all day like going out drinking. But I think like during the week,
anything
because I've done that. But I think because I've done that from a young age, Carl, it's kept us like discipline now going on. For like sure, even now, 27, mate.
For sure,
and it does, mate. It does. But that I was saying when everyone else was like smoking and drinking, mate, I'd never done that on the streets. I just started dating on the streets when I was allowed.
Same, mate. It was different for me. I ended up exposed to a fucking world from a young age. We were knocking about in Pennywell, right? Like,
is that why you're not about Pennywell as well?
Without Philip, right? So we would be kids, right? Would just be fucking right. Honestly, we'd be out on the motorbikes all the time. It was
just get chased that with you.
Go-Peds, it was Pee-wee 80s. I would feel bad. I had a Lem fucking 50. We just used to road burn all our way in Pennywell, right? We just used to fucking go down the quarry. Would fucking boff the petrol out the tank, mate. Right? Mate. We used to honestly, mate. We used to fucking wreckheads, mate. We used to boff the petrol out the tank of the motorbikes, be off our head, ride the quarry all day. Going to the fucking Addy, it was the Adventure Club back then. I think it's gone now. We used to fucking, if it was raining, we'd climb.
What was that like?
Eddie Bungle Tour, that's what we used to call him. Eddie Bungle Tour. We'll climb it there. He would sometimes come out now in there.
What was that? Was that just like a youth club?
It was a big fucking club. It was like a working men's club with a massive one, but it used to have this walkway, like as you went in, it was like an underpass thing, but it had a triangle roof. But we used to know how to get in. So if it was raining, we'd sit and smoke joints and shit in there, suck bongs and that. Oh man, Eddie used to come out and get off with Eddie.
When I was like
Eddie Bungle Tour. Oh man, honestly, some of the shit I was exposed to, man, fucking half the people.
From like
nine-year-old, fucking we used to. Oh man, we'd be down there. I had my first bucket run the back of there. I had my first bucket run the back of there, and honestly, mate, it was fucking mad, man. It was like half the people who were coming out were from boffing gas and shit like that, man. And it was just a mad world that we were living in, you know.
Honestly, I tell you now, that was like the complete opposite of what
that's what it is. And
it's crazy to think Pennywell, where I'm living, that's like 5 minutes down the road.
People have a preconception of me, you know, and I've spoken about it in the past. Like, there's been people that says, "Oh, fucking hell, that what you're talking about, that's why you're there. I've seen you thingy and grinned and that." It's like, hey man, you haven't got a clue, man. I knocked about in fucking thingy my whole life. We were fucking street kids, man. You know what I mean? We had no, man. We were fucking.
I bet you've had loads of people. Have you had people that said that? Yeah, Carl, where they're like, "Oh, like, you know, like we were going back earlier when we were saying about like people being jealous, and I bet you've had people like say, "Whereabouts are you from?" Or
no, well, Grindon, but obviously that's what I was saying. Like,
so
people would say
when you get people that are like, "Oh, well, he used to not about Pennywell, he moves. He think he is. He's sticking this one to you." What do you think about them people?
It's mad, man. But people obviously exactly what I'm getting at. Like, people would say. Because my dad's a fucking grafter, mate. My dad is one of the fucking coolest people I've ever met in my life. Obviously, he's my fucking dad. But aside from that, though, mate, like I do take a lot of
my dad's nuts, mate. That's why
I take a lot of like guidance from him. You know, seeing how he is and how he deals with things and like how he's.
Is your dad quite a similar to you, like Carl?
Mate, he is. He's the reason I'm the person I am, to be honest, because I've seen what he's coped with his whole life, being with my mum. Obviously, my mum had MS from before I was born, mate, right? And my mom, from me being year 3, couldn't really walk then. She could still drive a little bit, but she was on sticks and stuff like that. From when I was a fucking babby, mate, I really pretty much. And then my mom crashed that car, and she said she's never going to drive again. And after that, and then it was just more deterioration after, you know, as it went on. And obviously Cyprus happening, and then she ended up really bad and relapsed really bad, and the speech started going. Couldn't really move much of her body at all. And like obviously, as I was saying before, like obviously caring for my man, stuff like that.
Are we close to you, man?
Oh, mate, best mates, man, fucking for sure. Like, like the best of mates. Like that was what I mean. Like having that kind of relationship with me more from a young age, obviously, like brought us closer. You know,
it shows what sort of person you are as well, mate. Like I say, to be honest, Carl, like I know you, mate, but I didn't know that about you, man. And then obviously when you were saying you were kind of like a caring, you've done this, that, and the other for your mum and that, mate, it just shows what sort of bloke you are, mate. So respect for you for that, mate. You know, I've got big respect for anyone on whatever level that helps people. So a big respect for you there, because I didn't know that. So
for sure. Like that's what I was getting at earlier about that whole James thing. You know, obviously when my mom went into the coma and then obviously she fucking died, that's when all that shit was going on when we scanned. Yeah. So all that time later, that whole time, all I used to focus my energy on was that fight. You know, so that whole time, not thinking about what was going on about me mom, not thinking about all that past shit, just literally just fucking training for that fight. So when the fight happened, even though it was a loss, that's what I said to James. I was like, mate, like, thank you for this, because that is what's kept me right, and that's what's kept me in a good place. And now I'm a year and a bit down the line. It's a different scenario now. But at the time, I was in the darkest place in my life. You know what I mean?
Headspace now to how you were then. And I think that's another thing as well for like people that watch not just MMA, it could be any sport, right? People that don't know, but obviously people that are fans of that's watching you, right? Just say you that night, you got the loss that night, but them have no clue that you're just human and you've got like a lot of things going on in your life outside of just that fight itself.
Mate, you should have seen some of the fucking messages after, man.
It shows people that everyone's human, everyone's got the problems, and there's a reason sometimes as to why things are the way they are. You know?
Everyone's fighting a battle you don't know about, me, for sure. Man, you know what I mean?
And not everyone speaks about it, mate. I mean, Jesus, I think with this lockdown, mate, I think obviously you've got what's going on, and I'll not speak too much about it on my opinion, but I think the biggest pandemic is mental health, massively. How many people have been affected?
For sure. I lost.
How many blokes do? Not just blokes, even women. How many people don't?
I lost a close mate from my fucking childhood who recently.
What, just recently, Carl?
Right, it was fucking hell. How long ago was it?
What was it like? Mental health.
By suicide, mate. I was, and you know, male suicide's a massive fucking issue. You know what I mean? That it needs to be more help. You know, and it's a fucking. It needs to be more spoken about, though, mate. You know, because people, I'm the same. You know, my last says it to me all the time. Like I've got a real issue with opening up, and it's weird because with her and stuff I have, but then in other scenarios I haven't. It's just strange.
I feel I'm the same, mate. I'm
quite reserved. I am as well. I'm deep as but I'm quite reserved. Exactly.
We're sort of like very outgoing, but I think like my mum's the only person, mate. Like, honestly, I deal with me, but and she reads me. I'm the same person as I, mate, and she's like. She's a really strong woman, and she knows with me. She's like, I don't know what's the matter with you. You're not yourself. Now I'm like, now blokes, no, I'm alright, man. Did it be daft, man? You know what I mean? But really, it could be something little that's bothering you. You know what I mean? The best thing to do, like you say, is speak about it, mate. I mean, there was I played for a football team, Sunday League. All my close mates, right? So the tip of my football team, Carl, right, and. One of my good friends, Gavin, his brother, he was our goalkeeper, honestly, mate, Jack the lad, hard as nails, you know what I mean? And I'm not going to it too much, but he sort of, you know, went that way, and no one sort of seen it coming.
Yeah, it's funny. Look at half the people.
It was just such a shame.
Chester, Eddie Perez, his name, Chester Bennington or Bennington. If you look at the photo with his wife, like from, I think it was the day before he killed himself, he's like the happiest person in the world. It's a mad thing, and you know,
and like it shows you how much like people hiding, like what people see might not actually be.
Yeah, there's so much going on behind it, you know.
100%. Yeah, it's scary actually. I mean. Mate, that's why I always try to be nice to people, because I think, you know what it is, I never, mate, always like, so I just think, like, hate these people that like have salty digs and they're just not nice to people, like, and I just think you didn't know what that, just be nice, just be, it's nice. What does it cost to be nice, you know what I mean?
Hi everyone, thanks for watching. That's the end of ChinSpinChats episode 1 featuring Adam Guthrie. There's so many more people lined up and some really cool stories, so please like and subscribe to the channel. If there's any sponsorship inquiries, just message my Instagram at Pacino MMA or my Facebook at Pacino. And thanks for watching, everyone. Stay in touch. Much love.